well researched, which was really
Thank
nice
you.
to read. I was really nice.
I was worried because normally I never work I work on earlier art. I work on late 16th century, early 17th century. So I was a little bit concerned about writing about the work of someone who is a contemporary artist and someone who is alive. Exactly. So anyway, I'm so happy that you liked it. I loved the work.
Thank you.
It's beautiful. It's extremely interesting and it's also very beautiful.
Thank you. I thought it was really interesting what you said about the Klimt, because like I don't know a lot about Klimt, but also you said that the old lady, like the mother figure, has gone. And that was interesting for me because I don't have contact with my mother, so for me it was more appropriate for her not to be in the image in a funny way, but that wasn't planned. It's just yeah. So
you thought you picked the image up from Instagram, didn't you? So not from the Galleria.
Just from what I wasn't any website. I can't remember. I was looking at mother and child images in general and trying to get a variety, because I think I felt like it's too early for me to really relate to any of these images. They're all like someone else's experience and something that's not my experience, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I liked the idea that it has a canon that you can reference and put yourself in there as a new, different way of seeing it. But yeah, no, I thought it was interesting that the Klimt image isn't a real image anyway, because you put in like contemporary references and things that aren't real, and that adds an extra. So at first I thought, oh no, and then I thought, no, actually I think that's really appropriate and quite funny. And I never claimed to be an art historian or an expert, so for me to have found that image and used it again is like another little piece of the story of that painting.
I know,
it's my story, and it's great. Like, okay, cool.
And there's even more about that painting, because I took the image from I knew the original work, and I knew there was only one child. Mm-hmm. So I thought, this is weird, because which is this painting? So I started to do some research online, and I found out that blog where they tell the story about the modification of the painting, how the old woman was removed from the painting, and then another child was added to hide the breast of the mother. So in that blog, another person says, in fact, my father was the one who modified the image for my mother as a birthday present, and he had no intention of hiding the breast or deleting the old woman. So, I mean, there's more to. You should go to that blog and find it out, because there's much more than what is said in my text. I mean, there's more about the modification of that image. Yeah. So it's very nice, as you say, that you're adding another layer of meaning and another use to the image of
the image is perpetuated again in another form.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's really really cool. Yeah.
And I like the idea of mixing works of art with commercial things, like randomly found on the internet, like the little house for the ducks. Tell us about that a little bit.
Well, I like to have elements that I don't like it if you can tell exactly what time period the drawing is supposed to be. I like the idea that it looks a little historic and it looks very contemporary and it has a bit of everything. So I think it's trying to get the right mix, but also that in the detail are the things that are jarring and that don't maybe make sense with the composition and the structure of it. So yeah, I think it's funny to just find a duck house on Google and pop it in. It's a nice way to build an image, because I was using the structure of the Bruegel and then adding things that are more me, and changing the meaning completely from being about the sense of hearing to motherhood. And it's I like playing with it, like appreciating that historical artwork, but also having fun and moving it on in a different way, saying something different with it, not trying to say the same thing. So
it's extremely interesting. And also I suppose yes, it's deliberate, but it called my attention that on the first wing, on the left wing, you use mostly aquatic animals, ducks and also the birds, and then on the other wings there are like earth animals or terrestrial animals. So did you pretend to do a reflection on nature and motherhood, or it was just a coincidence that you...
Well, the painting I took from had water on that side, and I wanted to obviously have that theme of motherhood on the water, and then I obviously put my dog and her puppies on the other side because it felt appropriate, and she's always in my studio with me, and she's always here for everything, so that felt like a nice thing to do. But I wasn't trying to have like land and sea. I think that just came with the boring composition. Yeah.
Okay. But the dogs, you live close to a river or a pond, or is something?
Oh yeah, always.
Okay.
We live close to the Derwent, which is
Okay.
like a famous river for industrial. That's the background is the Peak District.
Okay.
The landscape behind me is like a famous walking path in the Peak District. So yeah, the river we would go to is the Derwent, which fueled lots of the industrial revolution through that area.
I couldn't identify the landscape. I was looking for the landscape, so I must go.
I was wondering
to that district because I was looking for I was trying to identify it and I couldn't.
Well, the bit behind me is the original image, but it needed to stretch across the aquatic bit as well in the background, so then it becomes slightly imagined at the further left it goes. I'm sure there must be a hill here and there must be something, yeah, but the main bit is a famous view, and then it sort of devolves.
And did you look for the work of other artists depicting maternity, or just you were interested also, apart from the personal experience, you were also interested in maternity as it was depicted in art by other people before you?
Yeah, I think I've actually found it quite difficult, just, as a non-expert online, I found it quite difficult to find the images that I liked and that resonated, maybe because they weren't labelled under being an internal image, or maybe because they're like a lesser known painting by so-and-so. So it did take me a long time to put together that bit, and then it was, tricky to find a little bit of the different elements that I relate to, I guess. I don't know. That was a hard bit for me, I think, because a lot of it was by male artists, like of their wife and children, or of their children, and it some of them felt like the Gainsborough feels quite familial, but then some of them feel a little more like, here is my wife and child posed with this less friendly, and I think obviously someone like Jenny Savile is very obvious and very like Alice Neal, and you feel that like, oh, they understand, and it's a feeling in the paintings, and some of them don't have the feeling, they just have the subject, like the Della Robbia. It's like, that's just the subject. I thought it was funny that you found a quote where I said I would have dinner with Rubens. I know I said that, but I didn't know when I said that.
You say that, and I loved it. It's just very funny. You say that at an interview. It's not a video. It's a written interview, and it's quoted from your website.
Oh.
And you say they ask you, it's something on female artists, and you say. They ask you, with which artist would you have a meal? And you say, with Rubens, because the conversation would be very interesting and the food would be delicious. And I thought that was very fun.
Yeah.
So,
I read that you put that, and I was like, I know I said that. And I still think that.
I agree, by the way.
I mean,
just Rubens as well.
He had such a cool life. He must have had amazing stories.
I know.
And he was well travelled, so he must have had great food.
I know.
I like that you pulled out the bear in the drawing, because that was like my little reference to Madrid. Like the idea of the mother bear, like the mama bear, but also their little nod to the fact that these are paintings I saw in Madrid, and that's a symbol of
Okay,
Madrid.
totally. I like the idea, and particularly, as I said, I normally work on earlier art, and I work on religious art in many cases. So I thought immediately of the Madonna, of the Virgin on the throne, and I thought of the angels normally surrounding the throne, either in adoration of the Virgin or bringing the throne to the floor or something like that. And I saw the birth, and I thought, these are instead of angels. So it's like a lay Madonna.
I like that.
So,
I like that too. Yeah. No, I liked that you pulled that bit out as well. It was like very appropriate.
so anyway, I also like the idea. Although I know you don't like talking about this, but I think. But and I'm not going to ask you. Is this drawing? Is the only thing you do is drawing? Because it's not that. I think drawing is probably the most difficult and the most compelling artistic media. But I'm also very attracted to the idea that you are a draughtswoman.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to be an artist who just draws. I think, and you do get, like you said, like a lot of like slightly negative. Oh, you said you just draw, or like just drawing's fun. Like the disappointment. Yeah, and I think it's kind. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think it's kind of an acknowledged fact that paintings sell for more and that they have better reception and it's easier in some ways to paint. And I did study painting, but it's just not for me. I love paintings, but I don't feel like I'm a painter because I like to make a mark and it's still there, and I don't have to. I'm not very patient in a way, which is very funny because the drawings take a very long time, but I don't change anything. So I'm always, every day feels like a new drawing. So for me, that's like my impatience. I don't want to have to think about whether I should go back and change something or go over it. I don't have to do that with drawing, and I get to just the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. But it's a funny space to be in, I think, as well, because you're a female artist and you're not a painter, and you're competing with a lot of painters and male artists, and you don't always fit in every space. And a lot of times, even little things like entering, like if you enter an art prize, I don't enter anymore because I'm tired of winning the drawing prize, not the main prize. There will always be a drawing award, and it's great and it's amazing and it's lovely, but at the same time, when you know that's the ceiling, why would you keep doing it? So yeah, I don't know. It sounds very ungrateful, which I'm not, because I think it's really. I'm very happy with where I've got to and like where I'm going, and very proud of it. But at the same time, I am aware that it's a harder. For me, it feels like a harder path, and I know there's people out there with even harder paths. But for me, it feels like it's been difficult.
But it's curious because in a way, drawing is the most intimate way of expression for an artist. I think it's the most immediate and the most. It's always the first step and the first approach to the work of art, to the final creation, is normally via drawing. So I never understood why it has a consideration which is always like minor than painting. I really don't understand it. But also, at the same time, I like the idea that it connects you with other draughtswomen from the past. Because even when women were not entitled to go to the academies or to have an official training in the art of painting, they always had pencil and paper and they drew.
Yeah.
Like María Cruz, for instance, who was a scientist and a draughtswoman, and the only materials she had were the insects in her garden in Nuremberg at the beginning, and paper and pencils, and then afterwards gouache and things like that, but things that she could have at home. So I like also the connection of other women in the past, other artist women from the past, because they were basically draughtswomen.
Yeah. And they did amazing things with the limitations of domestic life and what was expected. I looked at the drawings of Harriet Ford to use the text. That was really interesting because it looked like she was or like traveling with Richard Ford and then making drawings of where they went, which I think is like another thing that a lot of wives did. But I also think it's interesting because drawing again is more portable. It's more like you can,
exactly.
I can sit on the sofa with my daughter and work on my drawing. And I don't, not the big pieces that I do, but you can always have something on the go. And that again, like sort of does sort of link you to women in the past and their limitations again.
But it's so beautiful because of the link with the domestic and the realm of caretaking of a baby in this case, or of the family, or the domestic life. I think it's very nice the way they found they managed to have an artistic career within that experience.
Yeah, I've gotten more recently more and more into researching female artists from history and trying to have as many in my head as I do male artists. And I not in any like extreme like academic sense, but just in terms of if I'm going to see Rubens, then go see a Clara Peters, or like if I'm going to see, try to always like have that in my head, because it's just as relevant and it's just as great. It's just harder to find, but it should be, and it's changing, which is great. But yeah, I want to go see the Nicolina Wozniak.
Yes. It's in Vienna at the moment, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to travel, I think.
Oh, great.
I think. I might be wrong.
I don't know. Do you know where is it going to go?
I don't know. I think maybe I'm confusing that with the Rachel Roish that did travel, didn't it? It went to Boston. But I hope maybe we'll travel.
Hopefully, I hope so.
Maybe that's just my dream. I'd like to see it closer.